right now there was a increasing trend saying, oh, many people talk about AI, many companies speak of AI, but it's not proven how they can really monetize from AI or how you can prove to customer that they can generate good return from AI so you can monetize from the product. We also see the trend like many big companies acquire the AI startup like Character AI, who was very famous before, had like big issue with monetization, and then later was acquired. So curious from investor side, what's your take on that and how you have seen startup good at monetization or good at generating ROI for their customer?
Yeah, I think you need to look at the market and basically segment it into two chunks. One, you have the B2C companies, and one, you have the B2B companies. On the B2C side, I'm actually pretty pessimistic. I don't think there's a really good way to monetize generative AI yet. I think the technology is just not there. I don't think AI fundamentally is disrupting the way that we interact with people and the way that we interact with the world, and that's why there's not enough good B2C opportunities in AI. If you look at the successful consumer startups, like in the past, you look at social networks, you look at like ride sharing, you look at e-commerce, they have all changed the way that we interact with the world, that we interact with other people, but like AI hasn't achieved that yet. So that's why I don't think in next like 3 quarters, like 18 months, there will be like breakthroughs in AI technology that enable like new modalities and new ways of interacting with people and with the world. But up until then, I don't think there's a good way to monetize consumer AI. And even when everyone was very bullish about character AI, I was pretty bearish about it because I didn't think that the market was large enough to sustain an independent company, especially given how much money they're spending on model training. So that's one side of the market. Now, I focus on the B2B side, and there is a lot of evidence that AI companies in the B2B space is making money. There's a lot of companies that are generating millions of revenue. A lot of people, when they were saying AI is not generating revenue, they're looking at 2024 AI companies, right? You have to think about these companies as seed stage companies. These are companies who were started 6 months ago and 9 months ago. They're not going to have a good product. They're not going to have a good go-to-market motion, and they're not going to have that many customers. But going to Q3 and Q4 of 2024, I'm seeing companies that are hitting 1 million ARR, 5 million ARR, coming out to raise Series A's and Series B's that are backed by revenue and not just backed by AI hype. And for B2B companies, there's really two different logics. The one logic that like Ruby that you mentioned, which is what is the ROI on AI? There's another logic of companies who buy AI is how many people I can fire as a result of AI. I'd say like today, 80 to 90% of companies, when they're thinking about buying AI, they're not thinking about like, well, how can this make us more efficient? The CIO is thinking about who can I fire as a result of this.
I think like we really share the same opinions. Jenny already mentioned that like inference cost not like marginally reduced, like it's constantly like compounding on top of it. For vertical AI agent, essentially like gonna shine in the future because like they are really focused on solving a small piece of problem with low cost. So which means like if you throw your random questions into the like general models, they probably cannot solve the problem with the same cost. But like you go to like a certain small agent, like really focus on certain things, they can get the job done much quicker and much cheaper. Then those are like vertical AI agent companies will survive.
That's actually related to a question I had, is that there were arguments between generalized AI and vertical AI. The argument is if generalized model is good enough, it may wipe out the vertical like specific use case. So it seems He's opinion is that vertical will survive. So curious for the rest of our audience, what's your opinion?
I actually like start with an anecdote. Like one of my friends was interviewing for a product manager role at Anthropic, and the question that Anthropic asked her is, what are some vertical industries that Anthropic can go into? This basically tells you the truth, which is these big foundation model companies, they're thinking about going into the verticals. And my friend's answer, and she got the job, by the way, and her answer was that for every single vertical where we cannot have a group of like 5 to 10 very smart PhDs, without domain background, and we can just like build in that vertical, those are the verticals that Anthropic should just go after. And these include coding, these include like sales, marketing, whatever. Like the generalist verticals are the ones where the foundation foundational layer model companies are going to go after. And I think especially code generation, this is going to be, a new battleground for foundational layer model companies. There are other verticals that are too difficult for the foundation model companies to go into without getting themselves into, a totally different domain. And that I would include finance. What He is building in, I don't think OpenAI or Anthropic is going to say, hey, we're building the specific vertical model specifically for finance, because they're going to get themselves into a lot of regulatory problems if they try to do that. They're not going to try to do it for healthcare because, that's a totally different set of regulatory stuff. And they're probably not going to do it for legal, right? Because you have to be a law firm in order to offer some types of legal products. Those are the areas that I think there's a lot of opportunities for vertical software companies to go after. But the verticals are going to be much more competitive. And I think the generalist domains are actually much more well financed than the verticals.